Representatives of the political and business elite from all over the world are in Yerevan these days. This is the right time to receive and deliver the correct messaging. Influentials that set foot in Yerevan carry an important message. They've chosen to address global challenges in unison with Armenia. Interspersed agenda with global players for a stable region. This is the idea behind Yerevan Dialogue for the Armenian authorities, the hosts of the event. Key takeaways from Pashinyan's speech. The Armenian Prime Minister's conviction is, despite all instigation, peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan has no alternative. There is no so-called Western Azerbaijan on Armenia's sovereign territory. Once the peace treaty is signed, the Constitutional Court will consider it. If the court decides there's a discrepancy with the Constitution will undergo changes. Peace is a priority, and the possibility of peace should not be lost. There are territorial claims against Armenia in Azerbaijan's constitution, but Pashinyan's approach is that the peace agreement will address them. That's why the Armenian authorities do not raise the issue. The proposal to connect Azerbaijan with Nakhichevan is on the table. It's a crossroad of peace. Sovereignty of states should be respected when unblocking communications. What do influentials make of the possibility of peace in the region? Let's walk into the studio. What's Greece's stance on stability and peace in South Caucasus?
Okay, thank you for the question. It goes without saying that Greece supports every effort that contributes to peace resolution. And in this respect, Greece, of course, supports the signing of the agreement between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Apart from this, under my portfolio that I have, I'm responsible for Greece's bilateral economic relationship. I would say that stability and peace are the two main factors in order to promote trade, promote the development of our economies. So I'm fully supportive of every such agreement.
Peace is the lubricant for economic growth and stability. Does Greece view the enlargement of cooperation with Armenia and in the region in general? Is there an interest to invest in infrastructure or any other lubricant or stimulus for economic growth?
There's a huge interest in investing in Armenia and in promoting our bilateral trade. Actually, if someone sees the numbers, you'll see that the trade volume between our two countries are very limited. So we have to change this. There is no reason to change this because our political relationship is excellent, our historical ties are very strong, we are friendly people with a significant, actually, Armenian community in Greece. So I think it is about time to go for the next step and having a strong economic relationship. I can see a significant potential and an unrealized potential in specific factors like agri-food, like green, clean energy, renewables, like construction, you rightly mentioned infrastructure, and I'm happy to say that I'm here not only for participating in the Yerevan Dialogue 2025, but tomorrow me and my colleagues are gonna meet some institutions, Armenian organizations that have to do with promoting business. So I think it will be a nice visit.
So you have a roadmap of translating friendly diplomatic and political relations into more significant economic cooperation.
To say roadmap perhaps is too optimistic, but for sure I have the political will and I can see the potential. I think we are in the starting phase of this roadmap, as you call it, and we have to go step by step to set realistic goals, and I think in the end the outcome will be something really good.
Trump administration came to power promising peace in far corners of the world. Do you believe that peace is a priority in South Caucasus for the new administration of the US?
I do believe the Trump administration is interested in peace in the South Caucasus community, that it is committed to it, but I don't want to guarantee that the Trump administration will follow through, because it can be redirected based on the interests of the president, which are often unpredictable. But I do think that the president prefers that there is a peace treaty, that it is signed, and hopes that there's an end to all the conflict in the region.
Judging by the building up of preconditions on the side of Baku, do you see political will on the side of Azerbaijan to move forward with peace?
Well, I think that Azerbaijan certainly sees some advantages in waiting at this moment, and as any nation in their position is likely to do, is not going to concede anything more than it would need to concede. So I do see there's a little bit of hesitation here.
Do you believe that peace will take place all the same, despite all the protraction, despite all the excessive concessions on the Armenian side?
I do think peace will take place, but I do think it will take some time. And that's where engagement with the Trump administration and with the European Union can really expedite this process here, getting an even more significant commitment from the Trump administration and an increased commitment from the European Union can help bring the Azerbaijanis to the decision much faster, I believe.
Politics and economy are intertwined. While businesses watch the peace process holding breath to invest post-factum, the opposite is also true. Investment increases the likelihood for peace. Shanghai Cooperation Organization's Deputy Secretary General is also in Yerevan. Let's hear his take on regional developments. SCO's mission is to promote peace and stability through economic cooperation. How high is the member states' interest in investing in Armenia?
SCO's agenda is very broadened. Actually, you rightly mentioned that we have the security dimension, economic cooperation, sustainable development issues, humanitarian affairs. The agenda is SCO is identified and defined by SCO member states. As far as Armenia is the dialogue partner, so far Yerevan has no, for the time being, the right to identify the concrete steps which Yerevan wants to undertake within the SCO. But at the same time, there is a great desire from the SCO member states to have more practical relations with Armenia, to involve Armenia more practically to the agenda of SCO through the participation of the leadership of Armenia in the main activities of SCO. For instance, for this year, we have more than 100 events within the SCO, not only in the presiding country, which is China right now, but also throughout the region of SCO. And as an example, I can say that already we have the consensus-based approach that the Prime Minister of Armenia will be invited this autumn to China, to city of Tianjin, to participate along with our leaders, with the leaders of 10 SCO member states, in the meeting titled SCO Plus format, where the leadership of Armenia can share their views, how they see the future prospects of the participation of Armenia within the SCO. So, answering your question, SCO is not just about to invest to Armenia. SCO is just about to cooperate with Armenia to have the joint project, which might be financed with the certain institutions which are now establishing within SCO. We are talking about the development bank, SCO account, and so on and so forth.
Is infrastructure investment on the table?
We have good cooperation within the 10 SCO member states on the investment issue. But we would need the consensus to attract the dialogue partners to this cooperation. So far, if Yerevan has a desire to be more involved in the investment cooperation within the SCO, according to the roadmap which was adopted last year in Astana summit, Yerevan has a right, once there is a consensus, to participate in the activities within the investment projects of the SCO. And this is actually what we have discussed yesterday with the leadership of MFA of Armenia, to identify specific steps according to the interest, to the primary interest of Armenia. If Yerevan is interested to 3 or 4 dimensions, we can evaluate. As a secretary, this is our job, to help, to assist the Armenia as our partner dialogue, to identify this dimension, to identify the necessary steps to attract Yerevan to this cooperation, which should be mutually beneficial both for Armenia and also for SCO member states.
In part, you already predicted and answered my next question, but if there's more unsaid, please, you know that the Armenian government is seeking peace and a peace agreement that was supposed to have been agreed upon by both sides, but then Baku stepped back and keeps building up more preconditions. How can SCO, what leverages does SCO have, and what leverages can SCO use to bring about peace as a lubricant for economic growth in the region?
Thank you. First, I would like to emphasize that all SCO member states, all 10, they have officially welcomed the conclusion of the negotiation process between Armenia and Azerbaijan on drafting the treaty, peace agreement. On the SCO, we are the organization which has a very strict regulation. One of these regulations is that we don't put the issues which are related to bilateral disputes to the agenda of our organization. Probably this is the key of success. Once you don't have separate countries arguing in the presence of other member states.
What brings you to Yerevan within the context of Yerevan Dialogue? Do you have investment interest or any other form of collaboration you're interested in?
Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. My name is Wahid. I'm the managing partner of an organization called Amali Legacy. Amali is supported by His Royal Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Innovation Fund, which is an initiative of Emirates Development Bank and the UAE Ministry of Finance. Amali purely works within the context of green development and very closely with nonprofits and NGO partners. So how can we identify the right nonprofits, the right NGOs to collaborate with, to develop jointly together, whether it's forest conservation projects, whether it is regenerative farming projects. Today, most of our exposure is in Africa, but we are very excited to learn more about the opportunities to collaborate here in Armenia and to develop, hopefully, projects jointly together, aligned, of course, with the government policies, the regulations, ensuring that the private investors' capital is protected, while ensuring maximum benefit as well for the local indigenous people, the communities, and the NGOs that are collaborating with us in creating these multi-stakeholder partnerships and projects.
Where does the US-Armenia strategic partnership stand? We heard Mr. Trump say that they are looking forward to carrying out or to the implementation of the partnership. Where does it stand in your estimation?
Well, I'll start by saying the word strategic or strategy is tossed around a lot. People use that word in so many different contexts, but I would say not just focus on what the strategy is, but what's the goal, what's the outcome that we want for the United States and Armenia's relationship. In that regard, obviously security and peace, secure borders, but beyond that, if we work, you can say strategically, towards economic development and interpersonal relationships and different avenues that bring friendly nations together with the same values, democratic values, and Christian values.
There must be consequences if Azerbaijan, after all the effort and negotiations does violate ceasefire. What do you believe must be on the table in case they do?
You know, we have a president, President Trump, he believes in peace. I remember my friend years ago had done some business with Trump, and things ended up, he was a partner with Trump, and they ended up in some kind of a legal situation with an opposite party, and Mr. Trump wanted to settle it. He's not one to get into acrimonious situations, wars. He doesn't like wars, he likes peace. And that's what we're striving for. And Azerbaijan should know, Mr. Aliyev should know that there is a consequence for, you know, not signing the treaty and continuing to be an obstacle, because he's the obstacle now.
What do you believe that consequence will be if Azerbaijan does resort to escalation?
This would be a grave mistake, and I don't know if it'll be sanctions. It's a complicated situation geopolitically now with resources, oil, whatnot, but they should not escalate. This would be a big mistake for the world. And I'm sure, you know, the president was not going to be happy about that.
So, Phillip Morris is in Armenia. What's your message to other foreign investors?
I would say that Armenia is a land of opportunity. It's a relatively small country, but...
Unexplored though, would you agree?
It is, but it does have a great human capital. And since Phillip Morris has been in Armenia for 30 years, I would say that business climate here in general is quite welcoming.
So what would your message be to an investor who's looking to invest in Armenia?
Come, take on the opportunity to explore the potential of the human capital that the country can offer. I would also like to mention the open door policy that the government is practicing recently by supporting the businesses, but by being open to the business, by introducing certain legislative changes to ensure that foreign investors are treated in the same way as domestic ones.
What would you say sets apart the Armenian investment climate from other countries in South Caucasus, Azerbaijan and Georgia, for example?
To be very honest with you, I don't know a lot about investment climate in other countries, but again, the one in Armenia is pretty welcoming.
But there must have been a reason why you chose Armenia. What's that specific reason behind the choice?
We have been here for a long time doing business. Apart from that, I would like to mention that Phillip Morris Armenia has always been among the country's top taxpayers. For example, last year we paid 19.6 billion drams in taxes. And being a global company, we are collaborating with other markets, including the ones in the region, so that fosters the collaboration, exchange of expertise, and best business practices.
Recently in Baku, you stated that you have good faith in stability in the region. You said that the region is moving towards an inspiring and powerful peace. There's a lot of internal criticism inside the country when it comes to peace. Many believe that a piece of paper, I'm referring to the draft of the peace treaty, even if signed, will not result in actual peace. What's your good faith based on?
Let me start saying the following. One of my inspiring figures in the peacemaker was an important person that broke the agreement of the so-called Oslo Accords. I'm referring to Shimon Peres. He said that pessimists and optimists die in the same way. The only difference is how they live. In that sense, all the people that we work on the peace field and also good offices and mediation, we need to be very positive. There's no pretend that we are blind to the world. We are living in a difficult times. The level of conflicts in the world, it's the highest since the end of the Cold War. in 1989. We have conflicts in everywhere, and this is the reality, but does not prevent us to be optimistic about what is happening in this region.
I think the Armenian government has made it clear many times that they are ready for peace. Prime Minister Pashinyan, in a double tweet on X, stated that he's ready to sign the peace treaty, but you've been to Baku recently. Do you see the political will there to do the same?
I think the statement delivered by both the Prime Minister of Armenia and also the President Aliyev from Azerbaijan about the peace treaty, I think is an important landmark after 35 years of conflict. But the problem is not only the signature of the agreement, as I say in Baku. The challenge is the implementation of this agreement. We have many examples, for instance, and research about most of the agreements signed among the parties always remain 7 years after their signature. And among them, the 35%, they don't have an implementation body to implement these agreements. In that sense, I think this is really one of the big challenges of this peace treaty. But for that reason, depend on the good faith of the parties to implement. And the sustainability of the agreement is one of the big concerns and the big challenges for the future.
And still, the preconditions keep building up. Do you see this as a constructive way of going about the implementation of a possible peace treaty?
There were another important agreement, the so-called agreement about the border, between the Armenian and also the Azerbaijan border. Today, the Prime Minister of Armenia, he have already told to the public, released to the public about the advancements and also the challenges about the delimitation borders between the both countries. And this is adopted in 2023. And later, the peace agreement. And I think I find that the people, and we need to hear the people on the ground. And this is what we are doing in UPEACE, to be on the ground and I hear the people that they want peace. The benefit of peace is much higher than to be in conflict and war.
A peace treaty, even if signed, is only a lubricant, a starting point for economic growth and infrastructure. As you know, our borders are not open with Azerbaijan and Turkey. Again, did you see the political will to unblock Armenia's logistics?
I think one of the big announcements of the government of Armenia is this so-called crossroad of peace. This is the contribution of Armenia to the peace-building process in the South Caucasus. It's based in three main principles. The principle of open borders, unblock infrastructures, and strengthen the ties in the field of culture, education, and the political arena between the parties. I think this is an important step forward. And trade and peace are always connected. And we need to go to the history of, for instance, of GATT, the General Agreement on Tariff and Trade, adopted after the Second World War. And after the adoption and the creation of the World Trade Organization in 1995, the connection between peace and trade is there. And recommend an important book produced by the World Trade Organization about trade for peace. In that sense, the economic ties between the parties and this announcement is fundamental, because for having a sustainable peace agreement, one of the conditions, apart from many others, is the economic growth, it's the creation of jobs, it's the connectivity through maritime lines, railways, motorways, airways, pipelines. This is the reality. Always connection between trade and peace.
As you know, Baku has set forth the idea of Zangezur Corridor, which is basically an extraterritorial corridor aimed at connecting Azerbaijan with its enclave Nakhchivan. Armenia offers, as you mentioned, the project of the Crossroad of Peace. Which one do you support? Which one do you believe is more inclusive? Which one brings Central Asia closer to Europe?
Yeah. One of the main ideas And the main purpose of all, for the sustainability of all the peace agreement is inclusivity. And I think the proposal, as I say, of the crossroad of peace, it's an important step forward in the promotion of these ideas on peace, based on trade. What you refer about the corridor should be also part of this global concept of peace building in the region, in order to connect this region of Azerbaijan, the region, it's, if you correct me, Shiba, through the south region in Armenia to Azerbaijan. I think should be inclusive in order to get more and a peaceful concept, and a peaceful process in that region.
To sum up, a vibe of expectancy hangs in the air, a move towards stability on the one side and a tendency to squeeze the most on the other. One way or another, the die of the peace process is cast.